Hi, today we're talking to Toby and Oliver from MoneyCorp about whether now is actually a good time to be moving money from the US and also from the UK over to France.
So undeniably, yes, especially comparative to where we have been more recently. I guess the lead question for many Americans moving funds over is, could it get slightly better? Obviously, we're moving into a period where, at the time this is being recorded, in just a few days' time, Donald Trump will be inaugurated as the next president of the US. And as of yet, we don't know exactly what that's going to look like. I think we're going to be going back to a situation where markets are moving on tweets as opposed to your more historical data. And as such, how you manage that currency exposure is, very, very important. I mean, just a cursory look at the numbers. If you were looking to buy 100,000 euros now versus this time in September, it's costing you about $10,000 less. Yeah, exactly. Switch that situation to the UK for the same 100,000 euros over the same time scale, it's costing you £2,000 more. The variation smaller, but if you're moving over the predominant of your life savings, right, every penny counts. It makes a big difference.
So that makes it very hard, though, doesn't it, for people to really know when to do it? It sounds from what you're saying that if you were in the UK at the moment, you still wouldn't unless you had to. But if you were in the US and say, for example, you need that money to buy a house, how would you approach this problem, this dilemma?
Dilemma is probably the best way to phrase it. Ultimately, when we're moving, for most people, for property purchases, some of the largest transactions that they will ever do in their life, the rates are one thing, but the main, I guess, mentality to think of is just risk management. Trends are one thing, forecasts are another.
Yeah.
Forecasts are almost historically unreliable. It's how you manage that risk. So whilst, yes, for our American friends, things are moving in the right direction for them at the moment, we don't know what the situation is going to look like in a few months' time. I was looking at the forecasts for where your main banks think rates are going over the course of the next year, and they have just widened. It's like a 10-cent range over, just the next few months alone. So when we're talking about people moving their life savings, vast quantities of currency, and they've got a time frame for which to manage that currency risk, be it the time between when you're going to move and when you actually need the funds there, it's how you best manage that. And that typically varies from person to person according to their personal levels of risk tolerance, and if they want to play with the markets or if they want to just remove the risk altogether. Can also depend on their financial situation and if they have funds tied up or if it's all readily available. So parts of the conversations that we have from the outset and on an ongoing basis with clients is the big picture, because numbers are one thing, but it varies case by case, day by day. So building that understanding from the outset is super handy for my clients and the conversations I have with my clients, which is why I think people often come back.
The French market is quite difficult when it comes to property purchases, rentals, that sort of thing. And one of the main benefits is what we're helping HCB clients with is having a local bank account for them to be able to send the euros to and hold the euros in. The way that MoneyCorp works is that we have, for example, if you're a US resident holding US dollar, we'll be able to send your dollars to our US dollar account and then pay them out of our euro account that is based in Europe. It removes those transactional fees that you would typically get from their own high street bank. And it also means that when the solicitor, for example, is receiving the funds in France, it's a lot smoother process and have visibility over where the funds are coming from as well.
This sounds as though it means that it makes everything better for both renting, showing reliability as a renter, and also for house purchase and any other large purchases, actually. What about, how does all this compare in terms of rates and fees? How does this compare, and what are the advantages compared to just simply withdrawing money from an ATM? in the initial months of moving to France?
So we are very much so bank to bank conversion. So we don't do any cash deposits or like removals from ATMs. However, the main benefit of us is that you'll be able to have someone to speak to when it comes to moving that large amount, and also to set up, for example, the ongoing mortgage payments that you'll need to pay in a different currency if you're not completely relocating. And as well as obviously taking advantage of rate moves and having peace of mind that you have someone that you can speak to. We find with a lot of the clients that we're helping with HCB, it's difficult to, for example, have a contact at your personal bank that is going to be able to help with all of these things, and make sure that the funds are getting to the right place, making sure you're checking the bank details are correct, making sure it's going to, for example, the notaire, and you having that relationship with the notaire and your account manager at MoneyCorp as well, so everyone's on the same page. So it just gives you a bit more visibility over your funds. It also allows you to have obviously the local account in France, to be able to pay euros directly out of. It makes it a lot smoother process, and obviously removes all those transactional fees as well, but you'll typically get from using your personal bank.
Plus, if I may add, the obvious transactional value in that MoneyCorp does not exist if it does not provide a cost saving to clients. So, of course, all this service element of things is a lovely additional bonus, which is a free service as part of using MoneyCorp. But we will, of course, save you on the exchange rates as well as eliminate those fees. And when we're looking at people moving substantial quantities of money, that very quickly catches up, in some cases versus high street banks in the UK and especially the US, which is somewhat behind in its international payments, I guess, facility. This can be in, multiple of percent that we can be saving clients. And when you're talking of, a couple of €100,000, that's a couple of thousands that you'd either be getting extra at the other side or is not a cost that you have to bear in your dollars or sterling holdings. So service side and keeping it smooth and having that point of contact is obviously a big plus. But ultimately in times like where we are hopefully towards the back end, but still in a cost of living crisis, obviously every penny counts, and we save clients substantial amounts on that side as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And how easy is it to open an account with MoneyCorp? What would people have to do?
Yep, so very, very easy. It's not like opening a bank account, for example. Normally it takes no more than, we say 90 seconds sometimes, as long as we can.
That's
exactly. Yeah, it's a quick process. You can either do so online through a secure link, or we have a great account opening team as well that can talk our clients through the onboarding process over the phone as well, which maybe take a little bit longer, let's say 5 minutes, obviously because of the conversation
I don't know
back and
that.
forth, but yeah, certainly a quick process. Once that's all sorted and they're open with their trading facility, we then introduce them directly to our wealth market specialist, so they'll have one allocated person in which they will sort the payment process, the exchange process, etc., with. So it's having that one sort of key point of contact that they know they can pick up the phone to whenever they need.
So I guess there's an argument for people contacting you guys as soon as they know they're moving to France, well in advance. What about the people who are on the cusp, or maybe even here, and are still transferring money in dribs and drabs, bank to bank? What would you say to those people?
I mean, it's never too late to get involved with us, even if you've moved over the bulk of your funds. Obviously, on the smaller currency moves, I guess the amount we will save will naturally be on the smaller side. But if it's something you're doing on an ongoing basis, that obviously accumulates rather quick. So I'd say, irrespective of what you need to do, at the very least, if you can spare a 5-10 minute conversation, it's worth exploring. We can quite easily demonstrate what we can save in terms of costs and pure finances, and the service side and extra tools we can provide as well. If it's something you're doing regularly, it's something I would definitely look at.
So, Toby, what would you say are the main benefits of actually having euros in France?
Well, if you are looking to move and you haven't yet, I mean, it just smooths the process for you, because if you know, for example, let's say you're a US citizen holding US dollar, or you're UK holding GBP, you've got 3 months, let's say, from when you've signed the contract that you're going to purchase the property, and then it's 3 months down the line before you complete. Having those euros ready to go on completion day means that you've have that time in between to be able to plan to make sure you're maximizing your budget, or even just removing the risk throughout that short time period. Because as we can see over the past, even just couple of months, even couple of weeks, we've seen massive differences in the currency markets, which could have saved you money. Unless you're from the UK, it might have mean you're spending a little bit more, but as long as you're removing that risk from the offset, you're in a good position, and it means the funds are already there to send straight to the notaire when, for example, to purchase the property, or wherever it is you need to be sending those funds.
I think that's a good point. I think it does give you a distinct advantage, not just in property purchase, also in rentals. Having the money there, having a bank account, is really a good sign that you are serious about staying in France. Thanks, Toby. Thanks, Oliver, both from MoneyCorp. Look forward to talking to you soon, and let's hope that market stays strong.